Imagine this. You're a soldier, risking everything, your life on the line for your country. But while you're out there in the battlefield fighting for freedom and justice, back home, your own land, your heritage, your very future is slipping through your fingers. This isn't some war movie or fictional tale. It's real, and it's happening to real people. While you fight to protect your country, what happens when your own country betrays you? This man was faced with the unthinkable. His ranch, his legacy, was sold off by the very people who were supposed to have his back. What did he do when he found out? The answer will shock you and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty, justice, and the fight for what's right. It's the early 1940s, and the world is at war. The United States has just entered World War II, and the call to arms is heard across the country. Among those who answered the call was a man named James Brooks, a proud black farmer from the heart of rural America. He wasn't just fighting for freedom. He was fighting for a future, for his family, for his community, and for the land he had worked so hard to build from the ground up. His ranch was his life, passed down through generations, a symbol of his family's resilience in the face of oppression. But the time to serve his country had arrived, and James enlisted with pride. He shipped off to war, leaving behind his land, his wife, his children, and his dreams. His hands had planted the seeds that grew his crops, and now he was planting the hope that his country would keep its promises. Yet, little did he know, back home the very people he was defending were plotting to strip away his life's work. As James landed on foreign soil, he had no way of knowing that the small, quiet town where his ranch stood was slowly turning against him. His wife, left to handle things alone, began to notice strange things happening. Neighbors who had once called him a friend now turned a blind eye, even going so far as to act with indifference to his family's struggles. It wasn't just the war that was threatening his future. It was the weight of racial injustice that no uniform could protect him from. Months passed, and James fought bravely on the front lines, each day filled with unimaginable hardship. His thoughts, however, often wandered back to the ranch, his family, and the future he had hoped to come back to. But then tragedy struck. His wife received a letter that would change everything. The ranch had been sold. No warning, no explanation, no consultation with her, and certainly no respect for the life they had built together. It was sold under the guise of business as usual, a routine land transaction that occurred while James was away defending the nation. The farm he had spent years developing, the very place where he had poured his blood, sweat, and tears, gone. When James heard the news, it wasn't just a blow to his heart. It was a cruel reminder that his fight overseas had no bearing on what was happening at home. His battle for freedom, for equality, seemed meaningless in a country that had turned its back on him. But the most shocking part of it all? The sale wasn't just a financial decision. It was driven by racial animus, the same forces of hatred that had always been there, lurking just beneath the surface. James returned home, haunted by what he had seen and done in the war, but nothing could prepare him for what awaited him. Standing before the land that once held his future, he saw strangers walking across the fields he had planted. A cold, nameless feeling washed over him. The man who had fought in the trenches, who had survived the hell of war, now found himself at war with his own country, his own neighbors, his own government. But James wasn't one to back down. He knew the law, and he knew his rights. As he dug deeper into the circumstances of the sale, he uncovered the shocking truth. It wasn't just an impersonal transaction. It was part of a larger pattern of racial discrimination, a way for white landowners to profit from the misfortune of black families. This wasn't just about his ranch. This was about every black man and woman who had been denied the opportunity to own land, to grow wealth, and to build their future. The emotional turmoil was overwhelming. He had fought for a country that had betrayed him. The betrayal ran deep, but it also lit a fire inside him. He wasn't going to let this injustice stand. And the battle for his land, for his dignity, would take him down a path he never expected. James fought with everything he had left. Armed with the determination of a soldier and the wisdom of a man who had seen the worst the world could throw at him, he took legal action against the sale of his ranch. It wasn't just a legal battle. It was a fight for his family's future, for the generations that had come before him. and for those that would come after. He faced a court system stacked against him, a town filled with people who wanted nothing more than for him to give up. But James stood tall, relentless in his pursuit of justice. The fight wasn't easy, but eventually the case went to trial. James's story, a story of betrayal, sacrifice, and racial injustice, resonated with people across the country. The court ruled in his favor, and while it was a bittersweet victory, James Brooks got his land back. His fight didn't just win him his ranch, it raised awareness across the nation about the systemic racism that black farmers had faced for generations. But the real victory, the one that couldn't be quantified in dollars or legal battles, was the change it sparked. People began to speak out, to demand accountability, and to fight for the rights of those who had been silenced for too long. James's story is a powerful reminder. Freedom isn't given, it's fought for. His story doesn't just end with the land he reclaimed. It's a call to action, to stand up for what's right, to never let the injustices of the past go unchallenged. So what are we willing to fight for? And when we face our own battles, will we stand as strong as James did, or will we let history repeat itself?